Welcome to our Farming Basic Guides. What is afforestation and why are we behind the curve? The simple definition of afforestation is the act or process of establishing a forest, especially on land not previously forested. It basically involves planting trees in areas that haven't recently had any tree cover in order to create a forest. The main goals of afforestation are to serve as a method to reduce atmospheric CO2 and to increase soil quality. The forests created through afforestation also provide a habitat to local wildlife, create windbreaks, support soil health, and may also help improve water quality. So let's compare our forest rates. At 11.4%, forest cover in Ireland in 2020 was one of the lowest in the EU 27, where the average forest cover was 38.3%, while worldwide forest cover was 31.1%. Ireland is still playing catch-up on European counterparts with a lot of work to do. The target set by the Irish government is to increase the forest cover to 18% of the land area of the country by the year 2030. It is a big ask, but Ireland is making strides coming from a very low base. By the end of the 19th century, only 1% of Irish land was covered by forest. According to the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Ireland, of all the EU member states, has had the highest rate of increase in forest expansion as a percentage of total forest cover since 1990. So why and how did our forest rates plunge? A couple of thousand years ago, it is estimated that over 80% of the island of Ireland was covered in forest. That was to change when Neolithic farmers arrived in Ireland. They would have a huge impact on Ireland's forests as they began to clear land for agriculture. This happened at a time when the climate became much wetter. So much of the forest cover was removed that by the end of the Bronze Age, the poorly wooded appearance of Ireland became clear. Especially in the upland areas, blanket bog has by now replaced woodland. Why did we clear so much forest? Well, it's because people wanted to create space for farming and because wood was essential to people's everyday lives. Wood was used for fuel, in the making of tools, for constructing houses and roads. Over the next 2,000 years or so, and especially during the early Christian period, population growth and expansion of farming led to a dramatically altered landscape. By 1600, less than 20% of Ireland was covered by forests. The decline of the few remaining Irish forests continued over the following 300 years. With a rapidly expanding population, forests were no longer seen as an integral part of the rural landscape, but more as an engine to drive agricultural growth. The late 19th century saw many mobile sawmills travelling around Ireland, cutting down the last few remaining forests. This meant that by the end of the 19th century, Ireland's forest cover had been reduced from 80% 6,000 years ago to about 1%. But this is changing. Since the early 90s, nearly all tree planting is carried out by private individuals because of attractive forestry grants. Most of them are farmers. More demanding tree species, including broadleaves, are increasingly being planted as tree planting moves from the mountains and returns to the valleys. In 2017, more than half, 50.8% of forests were in state ownership, down from 57% in 2006, which was largely due to private sector afforestation in the intervening decade. This has brought Ireland's forest cover back up from 1% to 11%. Future forests. To start with the positives, forest cover is estimated to be at its highest level in over 350 years. One of the issues that many have is the plantation of Sitka spruce trees, as many claim that the species kill wildlife, block sunlight, and isolate communities. And this is particularly important as many new forests consist of this tree. Proponents argue that the species grows 3 times as quickly in Ireland than Scandinavia, and that it does foster wildlife. In any case, worryingly, the number of farmers taking part in a forestry grant scheme has declined by almost 90% over the past 6 years, with a backlog in issuing forestry licences being blamed for the low take-up of the Afforestation grant. Right now, Ireland needs many different types of trees and forests for many different purposes, from renewable construction materials, carbon neutral fuel, and to ramp up our response to climate change issues.